before I go on with this video, let me just say this. I'm not angry with Donald Trump for imposing tariffs on Canada. I like tariffs personally. I think Canada should be doing tariffs. Canada was born from tariffs. John A. MacDonald and the national policy. Look it up. Start having pride in your country. I'm not angry with Donald Trump for imposing tariffs. He's helping his country. What I am angry with Donald Trump about is the fact that I feel he's lying about the reasons why he's imposing tariffs. How can Donald Trump say that he's imposing tariffs on all Canadian products because of fentanyl coming into America? That's not Canada's fault. That's America's fault. That's America's fault. America has a very useless and stupid and incompetent border services agency. Think of it this way. Donald Trump is saying that there's so much fentanyl coming into America from Canada. But when the average Canadian goes to America, have you ever heard of a Canadian customs person checking you out before you go to America? No, they check you out if you go to Canada. So it's not the Canadians' fault if because the Americans, the American border people are supposed to check if fentanyl is coming into America. Canadians are not responsible for what goes into America. That's the Americans' responsibility. When a Canadian goes to America, they go through a system. They go through the border. I do this all the time. This is not my first rodeo. Where are you from? What's your citizenship? Blah, blah, blah. You got anything to declare? Blah, blah, blah. If fentanyl is coming into America from Canada, that is because America has a very incompetent border agency. Same with Canada. Canada could easily say that they're going to impose a tariff on all things coming into Canada from America because there's so many illegal guns. But that's not America's fault. That's Canada's fault. Countries are not responsible for things that go into other countries. You don't hear about Canada trying to check out what's going on in America. When a Canadian goes to America, they don't talk to a Canadian customs person. They talk to an American customs person. That customs person in America should know if there's fentanyl coming in. Likewise, when that Canadian comes back to Canada, they talk to a Canadian, because the job of customs agents is not to determine what's going to other countries. No, they're trying to figure out what's going into their country. And Donald Trump knows this. Donald Trump is imposing tariffs because he likes tariffs, just like I like tariffs. There's nothing wrong with that. He should be honest. But Trump is not being honest. Now, as for Doug Ford has now stated that he is not going to impose taxes on electricity that he sells to America, which is a smart move. I made a video just now, before this video that I'm making, excoriating Doug Ford, saying, hey, Doug, you're stupid for imposing taxes on products that you're selling to America when America is saying they don't want our products. That's stupid. We should be selling more things to America and trying to stop American goods from coming into our country. And the way to do that is by imposing an excise tax, which is an excise tax, or a sin tax is a tax upon a sales tax. Governments usually impose those taxes when they want consumers to not do a certain activity like gambling or drinking beer or smoking cigarettes. The government of Ontario should impose an excise tax on all American goods because the Americans are trying to impose a tariff on all our goods. We'll impose a tariff on all their goods. Usually, I only say that we should only impose tariffs or taxes on goods that we can make ourselves, grow ourselves, or extract ourselves. But because the Americans want to impose a tariff on all of our goods, I think we should impose a tariff on all their goods. Doug Ford or the government of Canada, whoever the prime minister is right now, I think it's Mark Carney or Justin Trudeau, whoever, until I mean, or Polyev, should impose an excise tax on all goods coming into Canada from America. All of them. Even if we don't have that product. All of it. Bourbon, everything. Those bourbon people can build that bourbon. They can make that bourbon in Canada. If they have to call it by a different name, they call it a different name. But they can make it here. That's what they should do. And if the Americans do the same thing, well, then we create a fund. 5 cents out of every dollar that we collect in taxes goes into a fund whereby if American companies have to pay a tariff because they bought Canadian goods, that fund money or part of that fund money will go to that company to recompensate them and make that tariff useless. So that's the next step Doug Ford has to make. Doug Ford should come out now. It's Tuesday, March 11th, 7:16 p.m. I'm just reading what it is saying on my computer. Doug Ford should come out now and say, "Look, I don't want to look weak in front of the world, but I think that my first idea about electricity was nonsense. But this is what I'm going to do. There is going to be an excise tax on every single solitary good that comes into Canada or Ontario from America. An excise tax. And if you do the same thing, America, you impose an excise tax or a tariff on the goods coming into America from Canada, we're going to create a fund. 5 cents out of every dollar goes into a fund. And the companies that paid the tariff from America will be recompensated that money. So buy all your goods from Ontario. Buy everything you want from Ontario. Anything you want. Anything. You want gas, oil, anything you want. Don't worry about the tariff that Trump will charge you because we'll pay it back with the fund money. And that fund money will be useless. And by the way, Trump can't do the same thing because money goes through Congress. And I'll tell you this. I think Donald Trump will lose the midterms next year because he's not focusing on domestic issues in America. He's focusing on Canada being the 51st state, and he wants to take over Greenland. He wants to take over Gaza. He wants to bomb Iran. That's not what he was voted for in America. Americans voted for him because they thought that he was going to get rid of illegal immigrants. He was going to build a wall, secure our borders, lower the cost of living, drill, baby, drill. I haven't seen any drilling in America. And he's not doing all that stuff. Trump is confused. He's focused on Canada being the 51st state. Americans aren't interested in that. So I think he's going to lose the midterms. But if the Canadians and Doug Ford are smart, they will follow your old commander-in-chief's advice and impose an excise tax tariff on all things coming from America. If Trump wants to play the fool and play games, we can do the same thing. We're not a weak country. And I'm not saying this because I hate Donald Trump. I don't hate Donald Trump for imposing tariffs. I'm angry with Donald Trump because, first of all, he wants to impose tariffs on all of our goods. He's not doing what I suggest, which only impose tariffs on things that you can't make yourself, build yourself, make yourself, grow yourself, or extract from yourself. And granted, I know America doesn't need anything from Canada, but I'm angry with the fact that Donald Trump is doing this. He's lying. He's saying that he's imposing these tariffs because Canada is allowing fentanyl to come into America. Canada is not responsible for what goes into America. America has to stop what comes in from other countries. You can't tell other countries to you can't tell other countries when you're driving to another country to the border. You can't expect another country to stop you at that border and to determine what you're doing to America. No, they're busy focusing on what's happening in their country. So Trump is being a bit of an imperialist and a neocon, and he needs to cut it out. He needs to focus on domestic issues. Anyway, I've been over talking. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I know it sounds like I'm rambling, but I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm not anti-Trump. I am actually pro-Trump, and I'm not pro Doug Ford, but I am a Canadian, and I am an Ontarian. Yes, I'm a dual citizen, but I am an Ontarian, and I am a Canadian, and I love my country, and I know I've been very harsh with my country, Canada, but I still love my country. So I support my country. I don't support our leaders, but I hope that our leaders will at least try to listen to me and maybe take in what I'm saying because I'm not saying anything bad, but listen to me. Listen to me. I'm not saying I'm actually helping. I think I'm helping. If you listen to me, you wouldn't be in this. If the leaders of Canada would have listened to me, I don't think Canada would be in this embarrassing position now. So anyway, that's enough for me. That's it for me. This is